All right. What's up, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? I know it's been a minute, but we're just gonna go ahead and get live, see what we can do, chop it up about these charts, chop it up and see what's going on, what the deal is. So before we get started, we got to take care of the disclaimer, the legal disclosure, and get popping. So please note that the following is not legal or financial advice and is provided for informational and educational purposes only. Investing in securities carries a high degree of risk and can result in the entire loss of your investment. You should consult with a qualified financial advisor or legal professional before making any investment decisions. And the information contained in this presentation does not constitute an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any securities or financial instruments. Any opinions expressed in this presentation are subject to change without notice and should not be relied upon as a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. Please do your own due diligence and research before making any investment decisions. All right, we got a few people rocking with us. So now that we took care of the disclosure and the disclaimer, let's talk about today's trade. Let's talk about the trade before the rate cuts. I think that's the title of the live, right? Calling it before the rate cuts. Thank y'all for coming through. Drop some likes on your boy if you don't mind. And we just want to talk about today's trade. So I will bring up the charts and we will get into it. Keenan, yo, how are you, bro? Thoughts on today's FOMC? For sure, for sure. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So first off, we know we got the rate cuts. I think a lot of us are already expecting it. I think Powell, even last month, he gave like a heads up or indication that rates were going to be cut. The funniest thing was I was on Reddit last night and there's a guy who wrote a poem. I got a poster to show y'all, or let me bring up my Twitter because I reposted it on Twitter, but he called it "Twas the Night Before Rate Cuts." But what I'm thinking right now in terms of rate cuts and FOMC is it'll give us that boost that we need. Just look at the timing. And in my opinion, I'm somewhat of a conspiracy theorist, but look at like the setup for the market manipulation. So we got rate cuts, which ultimately should bear like a little bit of bullish momentum or bear well for the market, right? It should have some upward trajectory as we lead into the election. Now, there's that age old adage, right? That during election years, for the most part, the markets do pretty well. The stock market, the US stock market does pretty well. And look what we've got. For the past 4 year, rates have been high. Finally, the Fed and J Powell, they cut rates right before an election year, just to taper off the end of the year. So I think that, of course, we'll have our volatility, right? Our down days and maybe even down weeks. But I think we're kind of coast up towards the end of the year before we taper off and come back down going into 2025. That's my thoughts in terms of the rate cuts. But for the time being, I'm just saying writing it out. Now, of course, we don't want to have a bias, right? If we're traders, we don't want to have a bias that blinds us to what the market is doing. But to answer your question, Keenan, those are my overall thoughts on FOMC and the rate cuts that we saw today. Just another one of the factors that'll go into that whole thought that during election years the market does well. So it's all kind of lined up and they got it all primed up, right? All right, thank y'all for coming through. So we got a few people in here. Just want to run up and keep it going. Thank you for the likes, Keenan. Appreciate you. So let's go over the trade of the day, how I got down. So what we're looking at right now is the 30-minute chart for SPY. Of course, this is how it went. We can clearly see where FOMC kicked in and the rate cuts shot up here. Of course, there was a lot of volatility. Ultimately, the market took back everything that it gave in terms of SPY, right? But I want to show y'all how I got down today. Forgive me, I'm always trying to get the visual set up for y'all on TikTok so everything fits. I need to stop messing around and get like OBS or something like that. Here's my Discord. Let me go down to my trading channel. And this was me today letting the squad know or the Discord know that I was in SPY puts. I don't know why it's taking forever to load right now. But this was at 7 o'clock on the dot. So if you guys are familiar with me, my name is Curtis G, and I do options trading for beginners. And so I just want to go over my trade. Now, just a heads up, I'm in California. I trade on West Coast time. So what does that mean? That means that for me, the market opens up at 6:30 a.m. and it closes at 1 p.m. So if we looked at the Discord, I gave this alert that I was getting in SPY puts. I don't know why it's not loading, y'all, but I gave this alert that I got into SPY puts right at 7. So this would have been the second candle of the day right here. And this was a quick scalp. It was a quick scalp for me. So what we saw was This candle opened up. We had a push below the pre-market low, and that was the scalp that I took, just in and out real quick. We can come back here and see that the trade lasted for about 11 minutes, 10 minutes. So in and out. There we go. Real quick. This was the trade that I got into. I know that kind of looks a little blurry. My bad, y'all. Let me move it over. All right, let's bring this up. So this was the trade that I got into. I got 3 contracts as close to the money as I could. And then I got out right here. So made about $100. It was a roughly 10%, almost 11%. Made about $100 for a quick scalp. And that's the long and short of how I trade. So I'm primarily a scalper. Every now and then I'll find some swing trades that are good that people could get into. You have a couple of days of opportunity to capitalize, but 95% of the time I'm doing scalping. And my goal, even though I don't have a hard and fast goal, but I typically try to aim for like 5 to 10% profits, right? That's usually what I'm scalping with. Now, if I'm going with a swing trade, I'm looking for more like 20%, 30% profits. But on a daily basis, when I'm scalping, I go for 5 to 10%. So let me see. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody's comments. Thank everybody for coming through, and thank y'all for the likes. Artificial Paint says testing an auto clicker on live. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Let me see. Let me see. All right, T-Bands ATL, thank you for the follow. Let's see what's going on. Artificial Paint, thank you for the likes. Appreciate it. So yeah, that was just a quick recap. Now, just to show everybody, like if you're new, and I do see you, Dr. 52, that's talking about Tesla. So we'll go check out Tesla in just a moment. Let me queue it up in the trading view tabs so we can go there next. But I do want to give a little bit more background and my thought process on why I scalped those puts at that time. Let me go and look for Tesla. Wow. All of these charts are called Tesla, but none of them have Tesla in it. That's weird. Okay, okay. Let's bring this down a little bit. Okay. All right, Travis Scott, what's up? Thanks for joining the live. We got the Tesla chart coming up next, but we are currently looking at SPY. So just really quick, just to show y'all the background on why I scalped those puts. And essentially what I was looking for was because we closed below the open on this first 30-minute chart, there was just a little bit of bearish momentum left still. And so I knew I typically just use the pre-market low as a price target. So the risk to reward, I'll admit, wasn't that good. But because I knew I was scalping, I knew that I would be able to get in and out. And so it did take a little bit of time. Like I said, it was a 10-minute trade, but price did come down here. And what I used essentially was really this area from yesterday, the second half of the day, or really when the market closed, as an area of support, right? So it looked like it was support yesterday. The market didn't really want to break down on SPY too much further below this. And that was the same kind of way I set up like a profit target or a price target today when I was scalping the puts. And we kind of see that it respected that same thing, even though we had a dip down. And I think this is really a little bit of market manipulation before Jay Powell was talking about, the rate cuts, and then we had this boom up. But that was the long and short of it. Nothing too complicated. Just using the pre-market highs and pre-market lows, and then just kind of looking at where was their support and resistance yesterday. But that's essentially how I played it. Nothing too over the top. T-Band says he day trades also. Yeah, bro. Let's chop it up. Let's tap in together. And now let's take a look at Tesla. Dr. Paint was asking for, how the heck did this chart get like this? This is wild. This is wild. So this ain't, yeah, all right. This is Tesla. We're looking at Tesla on the 30-minute chart for today. Of course, if we want some overall like thoughts, we want to kind of zoom out and do some top-down analysis. I always start with like the daily chart. But what I can see, at least for the daily, right, is we've built up some upward momentum going back to the beginning of August 5th, if y'all can see that right there. I really don't know why this chart turned white when the settings for all of my charts should have been the settings for all of my charts should be that dark color. Now we can't even see that line. So y'all rock with me for just a moment. Let me change this canvas. Let me change the canvas and we can get this right. All right. Where are my settings at? Let's go to the canvas. I don't know why it changed to that, but we're gonna hook this up, y'all. We're gonna hook this up. We're gonna hook this up. None. Boom. All right, there we go. So now we're looking at Tesla on the daily chart. And this is actually a type of trading style that I do like more so for the swing trades, is just finding that trend line with support and resistance. And so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tori trades. She trades like this. I think she does commodities and a little bit of futures, but this is a big way that she trades. So we've got our trend line, we got our touch points. What I would like to do if I was to be looking to trade Tesla, I would be looking for price to come back down towards this line as a little bit of support, maybe somewhere in this area to take calls to the upside, just because we kind of got that pattern and that trend going already for Tesla. And then what you could kind of do if you wanted to is just to make like a little pricing channel. This is how I would do it. It's up to y'all. The thing about trading is it's very subjective, right? It's all very subjective, but you could maybe essentially do something a little bit like this if you wanted to do a pricing channel on Tesla. But we also have to take note that, hey, we've got a little bit of resistance right here, but there is a gap to the upside that needs to be filled. So for me to increase the risk to reward ratio and our risk management, like I said, I would wait for Tesla to come back down on this line somewhere, whether we get there within the next couple of days, and then take calls to the upside. We see that we've got this kind of history that is using this line as support. Look, each day it's just coming down and bouncing up. So that's how I would do yeah, artificial paint. Dark mode is the only way. That's right, for sure. The canvas was a little bright for a second. Always using dark mode. That's right. Big shout out to T-Bands ATL. Thank y'all for the likes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So yeah, so that's my thoughts so far in the short term for Tesla. I think we still got more bullish momentum. We got the rate cuts. That's gonna boost the market, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's gonna boost the market up a little bit. We're gonna get some of that momentum too. But like I said, if I was to trade Tesla, I might even put this in the Discord. I'd wait for a price to come down here, somewhere along this line, and then take the calls to the upside. And maybe when it comes to expiration, right? Because this goes back to August 5th. So if you can afford it, get contracts that are in the money, and then probably go, if you can, as far out like maybe the end of September minimum, going into October if you can. That's what I would do. That is exactly what I would do. Thank y'all for the likes. Thank you, thank you. I Any other tickers that we want to check out? I have been doing some back testing. So if you guys are new to my live, if you've been in my live before, if anybody's been in my live before, drop a one in the chat. More specifically, if you know about the strategy that I'm really proud of, that I love sharing with y'all, please drop a one in the chat. If not, I think I'm gonna share it anyway. Let's just be real. Um, I'm getting a little indicator right now that the Wi-Fi is messing up. Dr. 52, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. T-Ban says use hiking candles and Ecomo Cloud and double RSI. So I'm familiar a little bit with the candles and a little bit with the cloud, but not too much on double RSI. I haven't really heard that before. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. All right, Trading Views finally telling me that the internet is right. But what I wanted to show y'all is one of my favorite trading strategies. I'm not saying I invented it, not by no means, but I'm super proud of it because it's something that I discovered on my own. And let's see if we could find it. And when I describe this, you guys might be like, well, duh, or whatever the case may be. But what I like to do is I primarily rely on the 30-minute chart as a scalper. And what I like to see is, now I'm trying not to cherry pick, but sometimes you have to cherry pick just to find the example right away. But I'm just trying to go through on Tesla right now. Here's a good one right here. So this one, I'm very, very happy. This is a strategy that I really, really like. It's perfect for scalping, especially with the 30-minute chart. So for those of us that are new to trading, or if you're looking for a strategy, something kind of simple that will, kind of get you started, you're not going to make the most money doing this, but nonetheless, I'm happy to share it just to give you something in your tool belt, in your arsenal to help you. So what I did was, you guys get your notes ready, But what I did was I learned, after looking at so many charts and doing a lot of back testing, is that on the 30-minute chart, I've only done this on the 30-minute chart. If you see, as we see right here, we're looking at Tesla 30-minute chart going back to September 12th. If you see a bullish engulfing that occurs above the previous day high, there is an 80% chance that we're going to continue to have some more bullish momentum, as we see right here. So for those of us that are new, or if you just wanted to add another kind of like trading style or setup to your arsenal, what I like to look for is a bullish engulfing on the 30-minute chart that occurs above the previous day high. And that lets me know that we're going to continue to have a little bit more bullish momentum. Now, a couple of things that I want to tell you about this. I've only back tested it on the 30-minute, and my definition of a bullish engulfing or an engulfing is slightly different than the formal definition. So what do I mean by that? So the formal definition of an engulfing is when the next candle, this one right here that our cursor's on, the next candle starts below this previous one and it ends above it in terms of the candle bodies, right? But for me, I have a slightly different definition. And engulfing to me is when the candle body is just wider or longer than this previous one. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this candle body right here, the engulfing one started below it. That's the only difference for how I define engulfings. So with that being said, what we see here is a bullish engulfing. It occurred above the previous day high. And that when I say above, that means that it ended above the previous day high, because we could see clearly that it didn't start above the previous day high. It just ended above it. And then the next thing that tells me, once this happens, once this setup here happens on the 30-minute chart, I would go ahead and hop into some calls just really quick. Remember, we're talking about scalping. We're talking about scalping. So just really quick to scalp, probably no more than an hour, which is these two 30-minute candles, make a little money and bounce. We don't overstay our welcome. Now, let me show you the back test, because I did back test this and I want to show it and share it with y'all because I'm really proud of this. All right, let me go through the comments while my Excel is loading up. Make sure I didn't miss any questions or anything like that. Thank y'all for coming through. All right, Emily, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. All right, T-Ban says you're correct. If it's larger, it keeps going. Yes, yes, yes. J5 Cloud, thank you for the follow. All right, let me go to my back testing log. Is it this one? Yeah, I think it's this one. I got a couple of back testing logs. Let's let Excel open this up. All right, and let's see. I think it is this. All right, I need to move this over so we can see it. So I just want to back up everything that I just said and show y'all the proof. Bear with me while I try to squeeze this in a little bit so it fits on TikTok. And I think there's some filters on here. Let me. All right, it doesn't look like there's filters. Okay, so what I showed y'all was that if it occurs above the previous day high, so what I did was, let me move it over just to show y'all, just to kind of, give you some credence, just to give us some credence. Let me show y'all. If you look at my Excel sheet right here, I went back and I back tested this. I went back, look at all these instances. I went back and I back tested this all the way to August of 2023, almost 200 instances on the 30-minute chart. I went through on the 30-minute chart almost 200 times. And then what I did was I added a very simple formula that'll help me determine the probability. So once I add this filter here, where I only look for the instances that occurred above the previous day high, the filter kicks in, and then I'll show y'all over here. We see that there is a 70% chance that the next candle, or that we're going to have continued bullish momentum. And so that's how I landed on this strategy. And this is why I'm really excited to share it with you guys, because it's just something that I discovered on my own. I'm not saying I created it, not by a long shot. We all know that. But I'm just proud of it because after going through so many charts and my mind recognizing somehow it caught that pattern with that bullish engulfing, I noticed that. So there is that. Now, the next thing, and this is just a little tidbit, what also increases the probability that we're going to have continued bullish momentum is if there's only one red candle like how we see here. So we see that it occurred above the previous day high, and we only have this one red candle in between. Now, when we see that instance, if we come back to the backtesting log, I actually have a column for it. If there's only one red candle, so we eliminate that. So just to give you a little bit of background, I use ones and zeros in these columns, one meaning yes, zero meaning no. And then that just makes me figuring out the formulas a lot easier. I'm not the greatest wizard when it comes to Excel formulas. So I had to keep it very binary, just using ones and zeros to do the formula. So when we see the bullish engulfing occurring above the previous day high, and there's only one bearish lead up candle, right? There's this only one bearish lead up candle. The probability that we'll have bullish momentum increases to almost 82%. Almost 82%. So drop a one in the chat if you were able to follow that. Drop a one in the chat if you're able to follow that. That's a very simple, easy strategy. Like I said, you're not going to make the most money, but if you're looking to scalp, this is something that is like one of my favorite things to trade. Drop a one in the chat if you were able to catch that right there. Drop a one in the chat if that makes sense. We got one from K Michelle. That's what's up. All right, we got one from Dr. 52 Trade. That's what's up. Okay, good. So if you just joined the live, my name is Curtis G. I like to do trade recaps and options trading for beginners. And I just went over one of my favorite setups. It's an easy one for scalping or basically a day trade. It should take less than an hour of your overall trade time. And the long and short of it is we're just looking for a bullish engulfing on the 30-minute chart that occurs above the previous day high. So we're currently looking at Tesla. This was on September 12th. We saw that the previous day high was right about here. This bullish engulfing ended above it, and we still continue to have some more bullish momentum. So quick little scalp. Like I said, you're not going to make the most money, but you will get a few dollars in your pocket. Let me be careful on what I'm saying because at any given moment, TikTok could flag me for trying to promote something or something like that. But just wanted to show you all that. And so you could go back and back test it yourself. Like I said, I back tested it almost 200 times using SPY and a couple of other tickers. But we can see here, I went through and I found all the different times that an engulfing happened on the 30-minute time frame, going all the way back to August of 2023. And then I even started 2021 a little bit. All right. Wally, thank you for the follow. E Major, what's going on? Bird Dog just joined. Thanks for coming through. Okay. And so I've been back testing another engulfing strategy. This one's a little bit more cheesier. It's like really, really corny, but I'll share it with y'all, get y'all thoughts, tell me what you think. I know it's not one that I'm not as confident in it as I am this one, but I did want to show it to y'all. One more strategy. Just something for all the newcomers out there, right? If you're new to trading and you just want to have a little simple strategy to kind of get you started. So what I have been doing is I've literally gone back and just looked at bullish engulfings or any engulfing, whether it's bullish or bearish. I've looked at any of them on the 30-minute chart, and I went all the way back from present day to February. So I manually did this. You guys can see on the Excel sheet, I manually went back almost over 300 instances. And then what I did was I paid special attention to the time that the engulfings happened. And so overall, if you didn't add any variables or any factors, and you were just simply looking to trade a bullish engulfing or a bearish engulfing, there is a 53% chance that the next candle will work in your favor. But what I started to do here was I put in a formula that gives me the probability based off of all these instances that I have in my log. I put in a formula that gives me the probability for each time the engulfing happens. So whether it happens on the 9 o'clock, and remember, I'm in California, so the market is 3 hours behind for me. So if it happens on the 7 o'clock, the 9 o'clock, or the 12 o'clock. But there's something very specific, something interesting that I've seen so far on my back testing, and I want to get everybody's thoughts. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I noticed that if an engulfing happens on the 12 o'clock candle, so the second to last candle of the day, there is a less than 27% chance that the next candle will continue to go in that direction. So I thought about it. I said, okay, if there's less then a 27% chance that the next candle is going to go in the direction that you want, you have a greater opportunity just to play the reverse. So for instance, let's say it's the end of the day. We're on that second to last candle, the 12 o'clock candle, which I believe would be the 2 o'clock candle for the East Coast. Let's say there is a bearish engulfing that happens on that second to last candle. You have over a 70% chance of entering calls on the last 30-minute candle of the day. That's just based off of all this back testing that I've done, looking specifically at engulfings. So I just want to get y'all thoughts to see what you think about that. If you just joined, let me know. What's up, Izzy? I see you. Thank y'all for the likes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I just wanted to get your idea. So if anybody just joined or if you heard me, let me know. Let me know what you guys think about that. This is a very, very simple, very manual back test that I did. I went back through. So let me bring down the Discord. So what I did was on the 30-minute chart, specifically on SPY, I went back and looked at every 30-minute candle going all the way back to February of 2024. And then I made note of any time an engulfing happened. So whether it was a bullish engulfing or a bearish engulfing. And then I set up a formula that would tell me what are the chances that the next candle would go in the direction that we needed it to go in. What I noticed is the second to last candle of the day had less than a 27% or less than a 30% chance of continuing to go the way that we wanted. So what does that mean? You have a better opportunity if you see an engulfing, like let's say you see a bullish engulfing happen on the second to last candle of the day. You have over a 70% chance of taking the opposite direction, so taking puts to work in your favor. So just wanted to see what you guys think about that. Like I said, this is just my own manual back testing. I went back over 300 instances, tested here, going through on SPY. You guys can see how far back I went. And then I just kept it very, very simple, right? If it was successful, I give it a 1. If it wasn't successful, I give it a 0. That way it makes the formula very easy for me. And so the raw data shows that if you see an engulfing, and we're talking about the 30-minute chart, I've only back tested this on the 30-minute. If we see an engulfing, just in general, there's a 53% chance that that next candle would go in your favor. But the name of the game is to find high probability setups. And so for me, 53% is basically the same as flipping a coin. You got a 50-50 chance. We want to get the odds more in our favor, right? So what I noticed was on that second to last candle of the day, for me, it's the 12 o'clock candle. On the East Coast, it would be the 2 o'clock candle. There's less than a 30% chance that the very next candle is going to go in that same direction. So if it was a bearish engulfing, there's less than a 30% chance that it'll continue to be bearish. You have a better opportunity flipping the script, getting into calls and scalping calls that last 30 minutes of the day if you do see that engulfing. All right. Yes, I love pedals. Thank you so much for the follow. What's going on? Drop a 1 in the chat if that makes sense if you're following. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate the love, y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Drop a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Oh, snap. B said I was frozen. Am I back? Am I back? How does it look? Oh, damn. Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry if I was frozen. Sorry if the network kind of messed up. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. All right. All right. Thank you, B. Appreciate that. Dr. Trade says 3 p.m. Eastern. Oh, did I mess up? Did I mess up, Dr. Trade? Oh, it's 1 and 4. You're exactly right. My bad. Big shout out to Dr. Trade. I had to get the timing right. So if you're on the East Coast, that second to last 30-minute candle is 3 p.m. Just a correction if you've been in here rocking with me, going over that. Everybody, big shout out to Dr. 52 Trade. I appreciate you for keeping me on my toes and keeping me sharp there. Yes. So if you are on the East Coast, that second to last 30-minute candle is at 3 p.m. My bad. I think I said 2. So I made a mistake there. So I have to kind of keep that in mind. Like I said, I trade in California. So for me, it's the 12 o'clock candle. All right. I want to give a few shout outs right now to the top viewers. Yo, Emily, thank you for rocking with me. Mindy, I see you. I think it's pronounced Gibbon. Sades Croy. Alexis Centeno. Michael Reich, 138. Chi-Town. Emin Derbiz. El Coste 27. Maria G. Yo, Victor, thank you for coming through. Will, Cool Guy 199696, Farm State, Steve Varro, and Spider. Thank y'all for being the top viewers. I really appreciate y'all. Let me make sure I'm keeping up with the comments. Project Limitless. Yo, big shout out to Project Limitless. One very good trader. I call him the CEO, the Chief Earnings Officer. Project Limitless is probably one of the greatest traders I've ever seen that trades earnings. So if you're the type of person that likes to trade earnings, Project Limitless is the way to go. I don't trade earnings. I've gotten burned too many times, so I finally had to say enough is enough for me in my trading journey. But I've never seen anybody trade earnings as thoroughly as Project Limitless. So tap in with him if you want to learn how to trade earnings. Project Limitless says, Yo, Curtis, what did you think about today's massive cut? I think it's right on par, man. I know you're just joining, but what I said at the beginning of my live when it comes to FOMC, JPAL, interest rate cuts is, like I said, I'm somewhat of a conspiracy theorist, right? And the old kind of stock market wisdom says what? That during election years, the stock market typically is bullish or trends up. We know that this whole year has been very crazy with world economic news, US economic news, the threat of war, all kind of conflicts going on. But rates have been high this entire time. And of course, right now, right before the election, what does J Powell and the Fed do? They cut rates. That's going to give us extra bullish momentum, little burst, right? We're kind of slowing down, kind of slowing down. More and more people are getting ready for a bearish dominant market. More and more people are saying, hey, we're going to drop down anytime. J Powell comes in, gives the rate cut, gives a little bit of boost, right, to the money printer. And that will carry us, in my opinion, that's going to carry us into the election, which will taper off the year. And I think the market will kind of crest at the top before we start to pull back and dive down going into 2025. That's my overall thought. Now, of course, it's not going to be straight bullish for the rest of the year, right? We're going to see some volatility. We'll have our days and our weeks that'll pull back. Let me just do a rough number on the top of my head. We've got October, we've got November, we've got December. That's at least 12 solid weeks of the market still being open for 2024. So we could have an entire month, right, that draws back and 2 months of recovery. We could have 2 months of drawback and one full month of recovery to end the top of the year at the top. But my overall thoughts are, from a conspiracy theorist standpoint, the timing was just right. They do the rate cut right before the election, put in that bullish momentum, get everything priced in. That's my thoughts. All right, all right. Let's see what's going on. Any comments, any questions? If you're just joining the live right now and you didn't see the trading strategies, let me know. We can recap them. Or if you guys just joined the live and you want me to do a recap on the trade that I took for today, let me know. Or if we want to look at some different tickers, you guys let me know as well. We've only looked at one so far, which was Tesla. We started off on the daily chart. Where did it go? And this is what we saw, just doing a quick charting on Tesla. We got somewhat of a parallel pricing channel. We also have a gap to the upside that Tesla needs to fill. And so my thoughts are, we're looking at the daily chart for Tesla right now. My thoughts are, if and when price comes down to this line on the daily chart, that's when I would be looking to take calls to the upside. And if this happens within the next week or so, I will be looking for contracts that expire in October as close to the money as I can afford it, and then catching that ride up for it to close the gap. That's what my thoughts are. All right, all right. Thank y'all for the love. We got the likes running up. Share the live, like the live. Project Limitless says looks like a nice setup on Tesla, big demand zone. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, this area right here, we all know support becomes resistance, resistance becomes support. So as we can see right across, right, we've got that resistance going on. I think we'll continue to come down a little bit somewhere on this line and then take the calls up. That's what I would do. That's how I would do it. Okay, okay. Project Limitless, I gotta tap in with you, man. I want to re-strategize, see how we can get back to getting the Discord popping. So I wanna tap in, bro, and see what's going on. Keep up with you, make sure everything is good. Okay, any other tickers out there? If you just joined the live, if you're just coming through and you want the recap of the trade, drop a 1 in the chat. I believe it's pronounced, is it Jonathan? Jonathan? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's run those likes up. Let's run those likes up. Jay Powell cut the rates, y'all. The rates got cut 50 bips, as they say in the finance industry, or 50 basis points. So, for those of us that don't know, right, if you hear the word bips or BPS or basis points, that's 0.01, right? So, if somebody says rates were cut 100 bips or 100 basis points, that's 1%. If you hear 200 basis points or 200 bips, that's 2%. If you only hear 50 or 25, like 25 basis points is 0.25%. So the 50 bips dropping down. T-Band's ATL says, let me know if you need admins for the Discord. Yeah, man. The Discord right now is like very small. There's really nothing in there. I'm just trying to get it to grow. So right now I'm in the kind of development stage. It's in the infancy stage. I want to work on, of course, we all know Discords, they get a bad rap because there's so many people out there that are looking just to take from their community. But right now I've been just trying to re-strategize and figure out how do I get more growth. And so that's where it's at right now. Right now it's pretty, it's almost like tumbleweeds blowing by. Nothing really too active, but I do put all of my trades in there. I put all of my recaps. Where the heck is the Discord at? So every day I put all of my trades, win, lose, or draw, and then at the end of each week, I put all of my trade confirmations so you guys can see that I put all of my trades in here. Everything every week, then trade confirmation. All of my trades, and then where we at? Win, lose, or draw, whether I get stopped out, whatever the case may be. And then we have, where is it? Jesus. There we go. There we go. There we go. And it might have been a moment. But yeah, all of my trades are in there. And then we've got different channels and things like that. But the name of the game is just to help out beginner traders. I appreciate you, T Bands, for real. So we'll have to tap in, and I'm just taking a step back to the drawing board, and I think where I'm at is being able to tap in and connect with like-minded people to build something, right? And to see how it could be, take it to a whole nother level. All right, all right. Thank y'all for coming through. So we looked at Tesla. This is a good setup. I think I'm gonna rock with this. Like I said, it's interesting because if you guys look over here, I used to have this whole watch list that I go through every single day looking for setups. But the way that I'm trading now, I really just trade SPY every day until like once in a blue moon when I'm on live chopping it up with y'all, I'll look at some tickers and then I'll find a setup like this that gets me interested in taking it. And so another one that I'm really proud of, and this was a while ago, was I saw, want to show y'all. So now we've gone back to the daily chart on SPY, but I gave a heads up to the Discord of this double top on SPY. I don't know how many of y'all noticed that, how many of y'all were able to catch this, but we had this double top that happened on SPY, and there was this gap here that needed to be filled. And I alerted to take some puts and ride this to the downside. But this was just really beautiful to me looking at this double top here, if you will, on SPY. This is really cool. All right. EL says line. Did I miss something from EL? Let's see what's going on. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I so yeah, this was a double top. Now the interesting thing about this double top that was back in, let's bring this up. This was back in the beginning of this month, September. We also played a very similar strategy with Amazon. So this was the daily chart for Amazon some time ago that we played in the Discord. And so it was the same thing that happened with Amazon back in April going into May of this year. And this was a double top. I think Project Limitless, you were in the Discord too, where we played puts all the way down to the downside. Each day we scout puts all the way down on Amazon. And it was the same setup that we saw with SPY just now with this kind of double top right here with this gap that needed to be closed. So, for me, like I said, I'm all about options trading for beginners, and I look for very, very obvious things. My trading style isn't convoluted or complex or too crazy. I just use a couple of little factors that I'm looking for, and then I go from there. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. They got the Don. Look at the Don. Yo, Shakes, what's going on? Just taking a look at Tesla right now. So we've got this setup going on right here. Tesla has a gap to the upside that needs to be filled. So we're expecting the price to go up. But first, we need price to come down to this line. Let me bring this over a little bit so we can go over it. All right. I don't know why they're pricing. You guys can't really see it. But once price comes down to around like the 225 area for Tesla, we'll be looking to play the upside to take calls and potentially fill this gap all the way up to like 250, 246, something like that. Yo, thank y'all for the follows. Thank you for the follows. So we were just rocking through, just keeping it very simple, very chill with the trading. All right. Project Lemon says, what do you think of NVIDIA puts, possibly 9 to 5? Let's go check out the setup. So we got a potential for NVDA puts. Now, a lot of these tickers, like I said, I haven't looked at them in such a long time because I've been trading SPY exclusively for the last like month or so. So what we want to take a look at is some potential for downside for NVIDIA. Now we talking, I guess we're assuming like the daily chart. Let me clean up this canvas a little bit. I don't know why this thing is so weird like this. More settings. All right, let me go back to the daily. We're currently looking at NVIDIA. Let me remove the drawings. Let me stop trying to look around the camera. That's to tell you how long it's been since I looked at NVIDIA. All right. So we're looking at NVDA. And I want to take off these indicators right quick or just close them. And it looks like we've started to come back down to the downside. We had a swing high on the daily up here. This swing high, I would kind of just do a line like this. And it's a little bit different. It's like the inverse of what we saw with Tesla just a moment ago. So just to limit our risk, maybe tomorrow, it could possibly happen tomorrow. We're currently looking at the daily chart on NVIDIA, looking for price to come up to this line to use it as a little bit of resistance and then to come back down. Now, Project Limitless is saying around 95. I don't necessarily think 95, bro. I don't think we're going to come all the way down there, especially with the rate cuts and the announcement from Jay Powell. Of course, a lot of things are already priced in, but I more so see this area right here in terms of support. You know, this 104, 105 area, that's what I'm thinking we're going to come down to for NVIDIA. But that's just me. Like we all know, charting is very subjective, so we all may look at things differently. But I think this area right here is going to be the area of support for NVIDIA. But I want to take off this, what's the name? More settings. Where's the canvas? Where is the canvas? All right, here we go. Now let's take off these lines. What's in here? Why is there? There we go. I don't know why that was bothering me so much. All right, NVIDIA 1 day chart. Boom. Like a little bit of price. Look at even in the pre-market, it's kind of coming up a little bit, or the aftermarket, I should say. This blue dotted line is the aftermarket. So a little come up in here somewhere before coming back down to support. Yeah, if you zoom out a bit more, it's looking like it wants to break down hard, but it's risky. Oh, I like down here. I can see where you're coming from. I can see where you're coming from, bro. For real, I can see that. I can see that. That would be, you know what I would do? I would set that up. I would set it up as multiple price targets, right? So if we're looking at downside for Nvidia on this daily chart, right around this area, if you're following along, I would do. Let me do a rectangle. You guys know I like to use rectangles for potential areas of support and resistance. So I would do something like this. Me personally, I like to do them in orange, but I would do something like this as maybe the first price target, something down here. And then to what you said zoom out. And I could see that as well on that 95. So we got, we'll say right here, boom. Oops. And we could set that up as two potential areas to target for puts. But yeah, overall, I'm still in agreement with you, right? I'd wait for a little bit of the pullback on the price, which it looks like. I mean, we know the aftermarket stuff in terms of being options traders, contract traders. It doesn't really mean too much for us, but looking for a slight pullback, maybe tomorrow in the next day or two. Once it hits this line, looking for puts to the downside. We've got our PT1 somewhere in this area and then PT2 somewhere in this area. That's how I would do that. All right, Shy Town says, what platform are you using for analysis? So this charting platform is called TradingView. So that's what I use to do charting. It's what I would kind of consider like the industry standard. I think most people use TradingView. A lot of people use Thinkorswim. Of course, there's other ones out there. Jason says it's impossible to predict Nvidia to 150 TM tomorrow. I mean, with the rate cut coming in with J Powell turning on the money printer like that, you could be right, man, and you're right. So we all know. Jason just reminded us, right? We can't predict the stock market. Nobody knows if it's going to go up or down and how long it's going to go up or down. We just try to do our subjective analysis on the chart, and you trade. You set up your trading plan, and you stick to your plan. What do they say? You trade your plan and plan your trade, right? Plan your trade and trade your plan. All right. Yo, Dino or Deno, thank you for the follow. And so Anthony Luis Mota says it's inedible for 150 to hit. I'm not okay. Project Lemon says the cut today seemed forced. Economy still bad. Inflation, unemployment rates seem to be bad. I feel you on that. Like I was saying, bro, like it's all of the artificial kind of like, manipulation that they do. I think the rate cuts were used to add additional momentum for the bullish sentiment to carry it into the election to kind of maintain that overall old phrase, right? That typically during an election year, the stock market does well. So I think that's part of the reason why I think Jay Powell didn't have any choice but to cut some rates to help maybe the current administration. Is doesn't the president of the United States is the person that appoints him to his job or something like that? I could be mistaken. Um, Election year. That's right. KO936X. It is an election year. They talk about that. It's not over here. Dang, I don't know where I put it, but there's a trader's almanac you guys could check out. I think they dropped the 2025 version. It's a lot of data, but if you're the type of person that does better with a lot of data, you might want to check that out. I'll show y'all. I thought I had the physical copy around here somewhere, but it's not within arm's reach. So let me show y'all. I got the Don. I got the Don. I just want to Don Julio. All right. Traders Almanac. Here you go. But I got this one right here that gives the data on it. So I got the 2024, but they dropped the 2025. Wow, that's kind of pricey. But yeah, this book series gives all that data on what we're talking about: election years, certain months, certain events. It breaks it all down into a summary. It's really dope. So if you're the type of person that likes a lot of numerical data to help you with your trading, the Stock Traders Almanac is a good way to go. All right, we're rocking pretty deep. Let's get to 1,000 on the likes. Let's get to 1,000 on the likes. Thank y'all for coming through. We got to show some love and give a big shout out to the top follow or viewers right now. Emily's still in the building. Thank you, Chi-Town. Yo, Alfred, what's going on? Of course, Project Limitless. And like I said, if you guys are just now joining, tap in with Project Limitless. I think he's one of the best earnings traders out there. The way that he does due diligence, the way that he really rolls up his sleeves to analyze a company before their earnings. Big shout out to Project Limitless. Yo, Jimmy Phillips, what's going on, my guy? Is it Basto Mir? The real Eldo, what's going on? User 7840556212724. DJ Duet, Jonathan O'Neill, Sultan, and Itching for the Paper. What's going on? And we got a bunch of people in the live rocking with us. So we went over a few charts. So we got a couple setups. If you just joined right now, I'll do a quick recap. And then whatever you find the most interesting, we can roll up our sleeves and get into even more. But we got a potential setup thanks to Project Limitless right here, potentially on NVIDIA puts. With the rate cuts today, we might see a turnaround tomorrow, though. That's something to keep in mind. But so far, currently, with rate cuts kind of priced in, with the way that the day ended for Nvidia, I'm thinking somewhat of a pullback on this downward line, right? Price will come in here, and then using these two pit stops as potential price targets or profit targets for the trade to the downside. I'm more confident in this first one, but Project Limitless is thinking we might have more of a push down to 95. So that's the first setup we kind of went over. If you just now are joining the live, the next setup right here, this one I really like this one. This is Tesla on the daily chart. We got somewhat of a pricing channel that's formed. We got the initial originating touch point, and then we've got a second one, and we got a third one. Now, the reason why I'm really confident about this, I don't know if anybody's ever seen that young lady, Tori Trades. She likes to trade trend lines like this. And one of the things she talks about is having 3 touch points. So we've kind of got the 3 touch points going. What I would like to see is, of course, it would be nice if Tesla comes down to this line. And then once it does, we want to catch some calls to the upside and then potentially let it fill this gap to the upside up here. That's what I'm thinking. Josh says Tory Trades is fire. Yeah, definitely. Definitely fire. And then we talked about my trade with SPY today on the 30-minute chart. I was able to get in before J-Pal came and talked about FOMC and the rate cuts. We did a quick scalp on puts down here at the pre-market low, right? I guess I could have even stayed in longer. The more I look at it, if you zoom out, I scalp puts right here between these 2 candles, but could have stayed in and caught some of that downside move and then rode it back up. Alexis, thank you for the follow. I know I didn't probably pronounce that right. Tori Band says Tori and Masi Trades. Yo, Masi is for real too. I like Masi Trades because she's so freaking transparent, and I feel like she just keeps it so real. Like whether she makes 5, 10, 15 bands or she loses 5 bands, she says, hey, I got caught up in the fake out, or this is what happened today. So Tori Trades, Masi Trades, definitely 2 of my favorite traders that are out there. Tesla J made 600 on SPX puts this morning. Big shout out to you, bro. Anthony Luis Mota says, I got 562 put for next week. Is this on SPY? Anthony, are the puts on SPY? I'm assuming so. All right. Alvaro Hernandez, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So if you're talking about the puts on SPY for 562, you're in the money. Wait, no. They're coming out of the money. You were in the money when the market ended. You were in the money on those 562 puts. Emiliano, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. But because of the after hours activity, it's come out of the money. But yeah, you're already in the money for those puts. Hey. So I know we've had a lot of people come in and out of the live. We're trying to hit 1K on the likes. But I say that to say, if you just joined the live, and I know there's a few of us that's been rocking with me, so please forgive me. Like I said, my name's Curtis G. My lives are all about options trading for beginners. I don't really get into anything too complicated, intricate, or advanced. I like to try to give value to some of the beginners out there, all of us that are beginning our options trading journey. But if you did just join the live and you want to go over the 2 strategies that I talked about earlier, drop a 1 in the chat. And for all of y'all that have already heard it, you've been on this live rock with me. I just thank you for just being in the audience and kind of listening to it a few times. But I do want to give the opportunity to anybody new. If you want me to go over those 2 strategies that I talked about, please drop a 1 in the chat. We got 1 or 2 1s from Ayer or Ayele. Okay. Let me look for Project Limitless says, I think Anthony should be good on those puts. That recent candle is forming a fair value gap. On the daily chart? Are we talking about on the daily? All right, we got a 1 from Alvaro. Okay. All right, really quick, because I know there's some of y'all that have already been on the live, but what I was talking about, I talked about 2 strategies. Really, they're the same. They're engulfing strategies. My favorite one that's more specific is a bullish engulfing. I think we found it, was it on Tesla originally? So I've only back tested this, and this is more so for the scalpers out there. So what we're looking for is a bullish engulfing. Where do we find it at? We are looking for a bullish engulfing on the 30-minute chart. Here we go. That occurred above the previous day high. So if you got your chart up on another device, if you got a tablet or computer and you're listening to me on your phone, if you go to the 30-minute chart on Tesla and go back to September 12th, here's a good example. So we've got this bullish engulfing that occurred above the previous day high, and this is just for scalping. This strategy isn't going to make you the most money in the world, but you will get a couple of dollars. So we see this bullish engulfing above the previous day high, and that lets us know that there's still a little bit more bullish momentum left. So you can get in and out. We're talking about less than 60 minutes on your trade. Now, why is it that I'm even talking about this, or what kind of gives me this confidence? Is because if you weren't in here earlier, I've back tested this almost 200 times manually on Excel. And what I saw was that if the engulfing occurs above the previous day high, there is an 80% chance that we still have bullish momentum left. And so I kept the formula very simple. I just used ones and zeros to make it. But just a quick recap, 30-minute chart, look for a bullish engulfing. If it happens above the previous day high, then you know that there's still some more bullish momentum left in the day. Of course, these things don't happen 100% of the time, right? We know that every trading setup, every trading style has some time that it doesn't work. So if you do go for this and the very first time it doesn't work out for you, don't just throw in the towel. Don't just be like, oh, Curtis G lied. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Remember, it's not 100% every time. So just give it a few times and then see if it works out for you. But that's what I like to look for, bullish engulfings that happen above the previous day high. Now, one other note, if you just now joined, is that my definition of a bullish engulfing is slightly different. You know, the formal definition for an engulfing is when the candle that engulfs, so this one right here, starts below the previous candle and ends above it in terms of the body, the candle body. My definition is why is the squiggly line on here? What is going on here? Jeez. Let me bring these out. Okay. Let me get back to the cursor. But my definition is as long as the body is wider or longer than the previous one, I count that as an engulfing. All right. Now, one more thing. So if you're taking notes right now, write this down in your notes. We're looking at the 30-minute chart. We're looking for an engulfing that happens above the previous day high. And then the next thing that I also take into account with my backtesting log was I took notice as if there were any bearish lead up candles. Now, what do I mean by that? So what I mean by bearish lead of candles is, was there more than one bearish candle in consecutive order back to back? And there was only one. If you only see one, that's a really, really good sign. So like right here, you see how we kind of alternated? This was a good sign that we're going to continue to have more bullish momentum. If there is more than one bearish 30-minute candle, so if you had two bearish candles, then the probability drops down to about 70%. So we go right here to this column, right? And let's say I want to account for multiple bearish candles. Let's go down here. Their probability drops down to 70%. That's still good odds. 7 out of 10, that's still good odds. But what we want to try to do is get the highest probability setup. So the highest probability setup would be only one bearish lead up candle on that 30-minute chart. But if there happens to be two back-to-back ones that lead to that bullish engulfing, you still have a good chance that you're going to have more bullish momentum. We just want to make sure that it happens above the previous day high. All right, all right. Okay. Yo, James, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Did I miss any comments or questions? Did I miss anything? Wanted to make sure you guys all got that. So if that made sense, put a one in the chat for me, please. Just want to make sure I'm engaging with y'all. If that made sense, please drop a one in the chat. SEB says, when do you take the trade? When the last candle starts at 12:30? I think you're talking about the other strategy. Are you talking about my other engulfing strategy, SEB? One, thank you for putting that one in the chat. Is it Ayale? Let me see. I think it's pronounced Ayale. Thank you for putting the one in the chat. So SEB, I think you might be talking about my other strategy. Right now, I'm just talking about if you see a bullish engulfing that happens above the previous day high at any time, you would get into the very next candle right here. So this would be our entry candle. Now, the one that I think you're referring to is on my other chart. I went back and I back tested. You guys could see this here on my Excel log. I went back and I manually looked at over 300 instances of engulfings, whether they were bearish or bullish. And I only wanted to know on the 30-minute chart if it was a bearish or bullish engulfing, what is the chances, what's the probability that price will continue to go in the direction that we need it? So if it's a bearish engulfing, what's the probability or the chances that we're still going to have a little bit of bearish energy or bearish price movement? If it's bullish, what's the probability that it will continue to be bullish? I went back and looked at every 30-minute engulfing I could find, going all the way back to February of this year, as y'all can see. So over 300 instances. And what I found, this is a different strategy. What I found was at the end of the day, the second to last candle. So if you're in California, this would be the 12 o'clock candle. And if you're on the East Coast, this would be the 3 o'clock candle. If we see on that second to last 30-minute candle an engulfing, there is less than a 30% chance that price will continue in that direction. So for instance, just imagine it's the second to last candle of the day. There's a bearish engulfing that happens. We've got one final remaining 30-minute candle left. This is where we would enter. Instead of entering puts, we have over a 70% chance, the opposite side, that price is going to shoot up and that we would take calls, that the bulls are going to step in to drive price up before the day ends. All right, all right. Did that make sense? Did that make sense to everybody? I don't want to cherry pick, but let's kind of see. Let's see. That's somewhat of a bad example right there. But like as we know, no strategy works 100% of the time. All right, so we could kind of see it here, right? We have this bullish engulfing, second to last candle, but price still ended bearish. Let's keep going. All right, we'll go back this way. We're currently looking at Tesla's 30-minute chart to see if this holds up. Okay. Here's a bad example, right? We had this bullish engulfing, but price continued to go up. And as we know, no strategy works 100% of the time. So let's keep going back. I wouldn't count this as an engulfing, but it's very, very close. Very, very close. Very close. Let's see. Lord. All right, let's see. Here we go right here. Here's a good example. And I know I'm just going back in time. I'm trying not to cherry pick. It's good to like do random, but here we're on the 30-minute chart. We had this bearish engulfing and then price just came back up. Now I want to give you guys one more tip that I use too that I haven't talked about yet. I'm going to give you one more tip that I haven't talked about yet, but we want to just keep looking. We're just kind of eyeballing right now. Just to show. All right, that was the last candle. All right, I won't waste too much of our time. Let me give you guys that one final tip that I haven't spoken about yet. So if you're still rocking with me and you've been in the live all this time, one thing that I also did with my back testing was I went back. And if you guys notice this column right here, I went back and I made note of what was the average amount of the pullback. So what I mean is, as we all know, most candles, 95, 97% of them have an upper wick and a lower wick. You know, that upper shadow and that lower shadow that shows where was the lowest that price went during that time and the highest that price went. And so what I did was I also notated when the setup was successful, what was the average amount of the pullback. And the reason why I made note of this is you can use this one of two ways. So this was looking at SPY on the bullish engulfings. And what I saw was there's an average pullback of about 20 cents. So you can actually kind of use this as somewhat of a stop loss if you want, if you enter in to the trade right when the candle opens up, or you can use it as giving yourself some breathing room to wait until the candle pulls back about 20 cents to get in. So just one more tip that I kind of added there. Oops. All right. A lot of people came through. A lot of people rocking with us. Yo, Annette, thank you for coming through. I see you. Thank you. So let's take a look. We'll go back to SPY. And let's see. Here's is that above the high? What did this happen at? Ooh, not quite, not quite. It's right there. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm looking at. It's almost right there, but we have on the 30-minute chart this bullish engulfing. And what I'm talking about is this pullback. So what you could do if you wanted to, you could either use this average pullback amount if you want. I mean, we all have different strategies. I'm just letting you know some things that I take into consideration. We know there's an average pullback of 20 cents. So you could kind of use that and wait for price to drop down, right? We could wait for price to drop down before you enter and then catch the ride up. Or you could kind of use it as a stop loss if you wanted. So you can give yourself a grace. Hey, if price starts to drop down 30, 40 cents, it may be turning the other way and I may need to exit this trade. All right. Okay. But yeah, I feel like tapped in. So I'm hoping that I gave y'all value. I'm hoping that those two strategies, at least if you're just starting, especially if you're more inclined to scalping, I'm hoping those help you out. We were looking at the 30-minute charts in terms of bullish engulfings or engulfings overall. The two that we talked about was if we see a bullish engulfing that happens above the previous day high, there's a strong indication that we still got bullish momentum left in the day. And then we also notated that if there's a bullish engulfing that happens at the second to or not bullish, but any engulfing that happens at the second to last candle, there's a strong chance that price is going to go the opposite way. So those two strategies we covered in today's live. Project Limitless says Pepsi intraday thoughts. I'm thinking 172 area looks hot for calls. All right, let's take a look at Pepsi. All right, it's been a while since I even looked at Pepsi. Benjamin Street, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Let's turn off some of these indicators just to kind of have the chart clear at first. Let's move this. Boom. Close this up. All right, here's Pepsi on the 30-minute chart. All right. We're looking at, so we got Project Limitless saying Pepsi intraday thoughts, 172 area hot for calls. Yeah, right off the 172. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Yeah. Price coming down here, especially because we're already breaking below this. We're kind of right in this area, right? We know that support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support. So if we continue to break down, we may have somewhat of a pit stop right in here around the high 173s. But I could see for sure if we get to 172 as a strong level of support, to take some calls there. Yep. And one way, the first thing that my eyes is seeing to kind of corroborate that, right, is if we get a trend line popping. Now, this isn't going to be the best one. This isn't going to be the best trend line, but this is just going to be very rough. I got the done. I just want it done, Julio. So something like that. And I know I'm kind of, it's a rough chart. What I like to do when I'm drawing my trend lines is I draw them on the daily and then I drop down to the 30-minute to tighten them up because the shadows and the wicks on the daily candles will move a little bit. They'll need to be adjusted. But if we come down to the 172 area right across, like Project Limitless said, we can go right down. Yeah. Boom, we draw that line. And right about there, I could see that. I mean, it does look like it would be breaking this trend line, right? A little bit. But one thing that we keep in mind when it comes to drawing support and resistance is it's really not just a line that you want to draw. You want to draw an area, something like that. So that kind of makes sense there. That price could come down as you see how price kind of sputters. We're looking at the left-hand side of the screen. You see how price kind of sputtered out. Then we broke out. Price kind of come back down and sputtered, come back down and sputtered. And then we'll probably come back down, sputter, and then come back up for the calls. All right. Really dope. Really dope. I think we had a good live sesh. I appreciate y'all for coming in and tapping in with your boy. Hopefully, I gave some value. Hopefully, I gave some things that'll help you with your trading, especially for the beginners out there, because that's what my live is all about, giving some game to beginners. But I'll tap in with y'all again soon. All right. Peace, y'all.